and I would like to welcome you to this OFNC Back to Roots event. For those of you joining us for the first time, OFNC is an acronym for Overseas Fellowship of Nigerian Christians and Friends. At this point, I should just like to advise that this meeting will be recorded. So if you don't mind, just to let you know that the meeting will be recorded. I'll just let you know about the event. We routinely host discussions on issues that affect students in the UK. So that's what OFNC Back to Roots event is all about. And today we're just going to be looking at some of the topical issues or some of the issues that affect students in the UK, but also across the globe as well. And some of the problems have been identified as feeling overwhelmed, finding the right eating or staying healthy habit, and how to manage your finances, how to manage your money, and trying to find the appropriate network opportunities. Issues like how to develop a good sleeping habit and how to manage or strike a balance between studying enough and also getting that social life as a student as well, and how to avoid procrastinating. And so some of these issues we'll be discussing today with some of the very excellent experts I have in the panel. And I just want to welcome you to this event, and I hope that you enjoy this event and you find something that will help you in your academic journey in the UK. Just to tell you about the nature of the event and the outline of the program. First, we'll have short presentations by the panelists, so it'll be probably a 10-minute presentation from each of the panelists. And then we'll have a general discussion. This discussion will discuss about some of the things I've mentioned already, but also we'll be taking questions from you. So if you have any questions at the course of the presentation, I'd like you to put those questions in the general chat box. So if you can type your question in the general chat box. Some of our team members will go through your questions, and they may be able to answer your questions directly from the chat box, but if those questions are not addressed in the chat box, I will retrieve them and put them to the panelists who will discuss those questions. After that, we'll just have a closing remark. But before we go into the general into the presentations, I have the pleasure of welcoming the OFNC National Chairman to give an opening remark. Professor Duro Dala is the OFNC National Chairman, and I have the pleasure of welcoming you, sir. The stage is yours, please.
Thank you very much. Hello and good evening, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Aleku, for your kind introduction. Many thanks indeed to the organizers and to our speakers for today. We know you have put a lot of effort into getting ready for the day. It's a great pleasure for me to welcome us all to this seminar on student life in the UK, what you need to know. There is a saying, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. But let me change this a bit to, when in Roman, do as the good Romans do. Because in every society, there are good and bad cultures. Needless to say, it is better to lean on the good side. The proverb is attributed to St. Augustine, and it means that it is advisable to follow the conventions of the area in which you are residing or visiting. This is the best way to maximize your time and opportunities. Fortunately, we have people who have gone ahead of you in a good way, who can tell about the new environment that you find yourself. We are passionate that you get adapted to your new environment wisely so that you can thrive well. Apologies. Today's seminar is part of the activities of the Back to the Roots initiative of the Overseas Fellowship of Nigerian Christians, or in a short form, the OFNC, as Dr. Aleku has explained to us. OFNC is a charitable Christian organization that aims to see to the extension of the kingdom of God here on earth, and also aims to contribute to the relief of people in need, hardship, or in distress. We have branches in 23 cities all over the UK, so we may not be too far from where you live. You may freely join our other meetings and receive our warm hospitality, which we are ever so eager to share. As part of OFNC charitable work, we contribute to several causes. For example, we recently contributed to the relief of some students who are financially impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown. They were grateful for this, of course. Secondly, we now give annually towards sickle cell treatment for a number of people in Nigeria. This gives them relief from the challenges of the disease. It is a disease that apparently affects African and Afro-Caribbean groups disproportionately compared to other people groups. So it is good that we support this cause. Another of our charitable work that God has helped us to complete is the building of a 50-bed hostel accommodation for internally displaced people in Nigeria. These are people who may otherwise not have a decent shelter, who now have one and are grateful for what God has done. We are adding more to our charitable work this year. Before I stop, let me reflect on a certain Bible character called Joseph. I'm sure you have heard of him. In spite of Joseph's hardships, we are told that he found favor with man, and the Bible tells us that this was because God was with him. I pray that you will find favor with man because God is with you. So let me not take our time anymore. Please enjoy the conference tonight. Thank you so much. And God bless.
Thank you very much, Professor Jirodola, and thank you for always supporting the Back to Roots team, and thank you for making yourself available to come and speak to us whenever we call on you. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Right, with that excellent opening remark, we're set to go into our presentations. And today I have two excellent resource persons who have kindly, generously given us their time to share their experiences free of charge. Let me emphasize that. They're sharing their experiences free of charge, and we really appreciate them for this. And so we will take the presentation one after the others. And with today, I will introduce the first speaker, and then after the presentation, I will then introduce the second speaker. And our first speaker will be Dr. Dikpo Daramola. Dikpo, are you here?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
If you try sharing your slide, then I can introduce you, and then you can start your presentation, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm happy to do that. Can you see my slide now?
Yep. Can you put in the presenter mode or something like that? Is that?
Yeah.
If not, that's
yeah.
Okay, perfect. That's fine. So, Dr. Daramola studied at Plymouth University for his undergraduate in economics, and then went on to do a master's in economics at Nottingham University. And he proceeded to Durham University to study for a PhD in economics as well. He worked as an assistant lecturer at Newcastle University initially, and he was teaching undergraduates in economic analysis, introductory economics and economic analysis. At the moment, he's economics at a senior executive officer at the Department of Health and Social Care. He performed complex economic analysis. The results of this analysis are usually used to advise senior management staff with how to formulate health-related policies and making key decisions on health issues in the UK. And I have the pleasure of welcoming Dr. Daramola for your presentation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Godwin. Okay, so is the slide visible to everyone? Can you also the slide very clearly? Is it?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'll make it stop now. Because of the time constraint, I'll be very succinct and try to go straight to the point with most of the content on the slides. So essentially, this slide is going to focus on starting your life in the UK, and I'll try and share some of my experiences to put a bit of life into the slide, just so it doesn't feel like I'm making a sort of abstract presentation. I'll focus on three main areas that I feel are very important for students that have just arrived in the UK, mostly in your first month or second month of your studies. The first thing is you need to remember your objectives. Why you're here? What are your goals? That's the number one thing. The second thing is I'll talk about what is accessible to you as a student, because again, if you're new here, you might not know what you have access to, and therefore I'll try and share as much information as I can to let you know what you have that is accessible to you, and then I'll talk about how you can use those accessible tools to help you achieve basically your objectives. Okay, next slide. So, as I mentioned, first thing you need to remember is why you're here, because it's very easy sometimes to come to the UK, and once you get the freedom, no one is looking after you, no one is recording what time you come in or go out. That freedom allows you to do basically anything you want to do. But it's very, very difficult sometimes to be focused and know that you came here actually to study. That's why I put, you need to study, study, and study. That's really what the UK, that's really why you're here. And you need to do this very early. You need to enshrine early studying into your life. You need to basically start a routine where, you're taking your modules very seriously. As soon as each lecture is complete, I think as students, what you have is you can have a maximum of 20 hours a week of teaching, of lectures. So what the lecturers would do is condense a lot of information into that 20 hours lectures. A lot of the work falls on your lap, so you need to actually do a lot of the work on your own. The lecturers, again, would only provide very, very, overall information, sort of a broad information for you, and you need to sort of, visit your textbooks. You need to read journal articles to get more details. You need to then discover your study technique. Again, myself, I tend to sometimes there are times where I work efficiently from home, and there are times when I need to go to the library, especially if I have to write a coursework. So if I'm doing something that is more something like a mathematical problem, I don't mind the background noise of a TV. But if I really need to focus and I need a quiet area, sometimes I would go to the library and study. So you need to find that balance between, where are you able to study more efficiently, and where you're able to work, more essentially effectively. And another thing you need to do is you need to regularly evaluate your objectives, your goals. Each time you get a feedback for a coursework, look at the feedback, look at what the lecturers have said, look at what the comments they've made, try each time to improve your work. Again, lecturers would tend to provide you, comment on how you can improve your work or what you've done very well. Try and work on those feedback, essentially. And the next thing is that, you're not just studying, you're studying to get a job, or you're studying to start a business. So you need to have that in mind. I think the first thing you need to think about is basically you need to be forward looking. If I go back, given what I know now, if I go back and I think one thing I did not do very well was to look forward and think about where I want to be in the next, 3 to 5 years. Where do I want to work? What's my ideal job? So you need to start looking for those types of jobs. Essentially, the purpose of that is it allows you to plan yourself. So there's certain types of jobs. If you start looking into them now, you look at the requirements, it tells you maybe what type of modules you need to be taking now, what sort of opportunities you need to be seeking now. So it basically helps you plan ahead. And once you get into the job market, you again, you don't want to look back and think, oh, I wish I've done this and I wish I'd done that. You basically want to start early. So these are things you can include on your CV as soon as you're done. And I think if you're looking to do an internship in your third year, most universities, your first year, again, this is undergraduate, your first year does not really count. In certain universities, I think it only counts for 10% towards your final degree. So most students always go, first year is not important, it's very easy, I can have fun. I don't think you should go with that attitude. I think, you need good first year performance, especially if you're planning to go for an internship in your third year, because by that time, the only result you would have available is your first year result. So they would only look at your first year performance, not your second year performance. So you really need to start early. And also because once you get into the practice, once you get into that routine of first year studying, as soon as, you get those materials, it becomes easier in your second year and third year. And your performance basically, it's like a straight line between your performance between first, second, and your final year. Now I'm going to talk about what you have access to. So first, you have, as you're probably aware, I mean, as you land in this in this country, wherever you landed from, whether it's Heathrow, whether it's Manchester, you can see immediately that they have infrastructure, and I mean physical infrastructure. You have things like constant electricity, good roads, good transport network. But particularly for students, what is going to be useful is you have uninterrupted electricity, unlike back home, where in 2020 we still struggle with constant electricity. You have a lot of free and student discount trains and buses. I know, for instance, that if you need to use a train, you get a student under 25 rail card. Even if you're above 25, you have access to that rail card, which basically you get a 1/3 discount on whatever travel on wherever travel you're making. So again, try and make use of those, and you have access to library. Usually the libraries in UK are usually very equipped, and so you would find literally any book, anything you're looking for in the library. But you have other intangibles like limited Wi-Fi and data. You also have online library. The second thing you have access to is also support. So there is the university support. Lecturers will usually give you, again, this is speaking from experience, from my own personal experience, they would give you, I say, 2 hours in their weekly calendar to allow students to visit. So you have lecturers, contact hours where you can visit them and ask them questions. You have access to tutors as well. Each student is usually given a tutor or a mentor. You have other student support like international office. You have support on career services. And yeah, you have access to different student support or student services. Usually those supports are usually in a central building. You should, visit those supports. Then you also have religious support, churches, groups like this, OFNC, where, you can seek support, you can network, you can meet people, you can ask questions. You have, Islamic support as well. And you have basically, as I mentioned, religious groups like this ones. And finally, you have your peer group. You need to choose your friends wisely. So that, again, if you need support from students, from your friends especially, you can seek support from them. And also you can join different societies, again, for different support. They're usually Nigerian societies in most universities that I've been in, where, again, you can seek support on where to buy things, simple things like cheap accommodation, where to get Nigerian food, you might be able, you should be able to get support in those places. And finally, you have access to a one thing UK has again is very it's a rich culture and you have a diverse community again. So that rich culture sometimes this allows you sometimes to get away from the work to sort of to take a break. So it's not all about studying and studying all the time. Sometimes you need to have a leisure time to focus on other things and try and have have some fun as well while you're studying. So you can visit historical places. Um, the diversity also allows you to make friends, learn other people's culture, be open-minded. There are very rich cultures out there. My personal experience, again, I've lived with, first time I came to the UK, I lived with a Chinese. During my master's, I lived with a Colombian. During my undergrad, I lived with English, loads of people, and I learned cultures. I had their food, I saw what kind of music they listen to. It's a sort of entertainment as well. It's not all about don't stick to only Nigerian friends or don't make only Nigerian friends. Try and learn from other people as well. My next point is, how do you use this access more effectively? Because a lot of some you can this access to these things can be a disadvantage sometimes. So how do you use them effectively and it's essentially use them to achieve your goals rather than be a distraction for you. Things like physical infrastructure, as I mentioned. So again, students get free buses in certain cities or certain universities. They get discounts. This helps you save money, essentially. It also helps you to plan your journey. You can download different apps on your phone, different buses routes, and you can plan your journey for your lectures depending on your distance, distance between where you live and where your lectures are. So you can easily plan your time manage yourself. I think right now, given COVID, most of you would have to be studying from home. So this is a bit outside sort of COVID. Hopefully that will be over next year and you can attend classes. It will also help you study better, this infrastructure, by giving you access to, you have access to a lot of journal articles online. It helps you to, learn how to write academically, and you can learn how to, there are loads of resources on how to reference as well. So there's a lot of resources at your fingertips. It just depends on how you use it. The other intangibles also, sometimes you don't really need to go to the library, as you have access to those books. There are a lot of resources online rather than the hard copy. Now they're taking books and journal articles and they're making them more available online than having a hard copy. So you have access to all those online resources that you can use. Again, university support, what can that do for you? It can help you to prepare for your coursework and our examination. You can always go to your lecturers sometimes. I mean, usually they like you to book an appointment, go in, ask a few questions about coursework that they're giving you or your exams, and you can ask questions around those things. And most lecturers in the UK are usually very happy to help. They're very happy to speak to students that are keen on their subject. So you would find them giving you support in that area. You can also use all those universities, student services to look for part-time jobs, or if you're struggling financially, some of them can help you, write a CV. Again, if you're looking for a part-time job and you need to write a CV now, they can help you develop a CV or even make it better. And you can use some of those services to learn softer skills. And I'm talking about, writing on using Excel, how to use Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, presentations. Those softer skills are very, very important when it comes to actually leaving the academics and coming to work. And I can tell you from personal experience again that even at work right now, we use a lot of Excel. While when I was in university, it was all about all the statistical softwares, Stata. We've gone away from that now. And in the department, in the Ministry of Health here where I work, we use a lot of we tend to use Excel more than any statistical software. So those softer skills are very, very, very important. Religious support can help you to again improve your religious life. I found that to be very helpful in terms of my religious life. Attending church, listening to the word of God, prayer, those can help support that. Try and use those support group again to share your experiences, because again, most times you're not the only person going through it, or you're not the first person going through those experiences, and you can learn from others. So there's a feedback. You can always share your experiences, and someone else can share their experience and be like, okay, I've gone through something similar, and I can tell you these are the steps I took. Peer groups, you can use it to motivate and influence. So this is why it's important to choose very good friends. If you choose good friends, they influence you in a positive and a good way, where you can they basically help you to study. Again, I remember during my undergrad days, we had this group of friends where we went to the library, we studied together, and it just always helped. We challenged each other, we asked each other questions, and it just helps you to improve yourself as a student. Also, if you have very smart colleagues or friends, you can always help you review your coursework, or your whatever it is you're going through, and it could be the same, it could be back and forth. And that's the main reason why you basically need to choose your peers very, very wisely. And so you need people that are going to support you in your studies, and help you achieve again your goals. Finally, rich culture means you can get a good work-life balance. If you're stressed, if you've been studying too much, you can take time off, travel, visit places, go and see things. And also diversity means you can network. I have a group of friends. Again, as I mentioned earlier, I have a friend in China, I have a friend in Malaysia, I have a friend in Colombia. Those things are very helpful. As you grow in life, if you're able to build this network, you don't know where you might be useful for each other. So try and start building a network now. Now that you're in uni. Finally, I'm going to talk about some potential challenges that people face. I've been through some, and I've heard people say some to me. So first one for me is language and accent. First time I came to the UK, I struggled with a British accent. Because again, Nigerian culture, we tend to follow the American style culture, where we listen to American music, we watch American movies. Even if I was to listen to news in Nigeria, it used to be CNN, not BBC. So when I came, I struggled understanding, British accent. But what you have now is you have a lot of IT tools, where I think a lot of lectures, especially with this pandemic, a lot of lectures are recorded, and you can go back home and play those lectures, and you can play them at your own speed. So I think, again, this is speaking from certain experiences. You can play them at your own speed. If a lecturer is speaking too fast, you can slow down those lectures, and you can write them down as well. Another important thing in the UK is referencing is plagiarism. They don't like you plagiarize. Don't get resources online and simply copy and paste. It would get you, there's basically no gain from it. It will only cost you. People have been expelled, not to return back to the UK, or not allowed to do the same course again. So do not plagiarize, and reference properly. They don't like referencing. I reckon during this pandemic, it will create a lot of loneliness and depression. Again, it's in the UK, those words, depression particularly, those words came to me the first time in the UK. I've never heard anyone go, I'm depressed in Nigeria. So it's a lot of people get depressed. One thing about the UK is you have your personal life. Everyone sticks to themselves a lot. and loneliness can lead to a lot of depression. There are a lot of depressed people out there. So you really need to engage, talk to people, join societies, be out there. Again, engage more, and that would help you, combat that loneliness. I think another thing, again, this happened to me a lot in my undergrad, was procrastination. And once you procrastinate, you leave your work till the last date. And again, this is another word that came to me in the UK: panic attack. A day before your deadline, you go to the library and you do it 24 hours. We had a library section in Plymouth then called 24/7, where you'd find a lot of Nigerian students apparently going to 24 hours before the deadline. They're there trying to finish their coursework. And I'm going to confess, I did it, especially in my first year, where I would do it overnight. In the morning, I go and submit, and I'm going straight to bed. I would definitely not encourage that. It would just lead to you panicking. So try and plan ahead. And finally, do express yourself. Talk to people. Speak out loud. I know some people who are introverts. Try and get past that, your shell, and express yourself. Tell people what it is that's bothering you. Again, you're not the only one going through it. Most people have either gone through it or they're going through it. So speak to people. They can share how they've been able to, get around it. So please do speak out. No one is going to know what you're going through unless you speak out. And so yeah, that's my advice for you, for students starting off their life in the UK. Thank you for listening. I'll stop sharing now.
Yeah, thank you so very much for that excellent presentation. I really enjoyed going through it. I really enjoyed it. Just to recap on what Dikwa said, he started by emphasizing that you should know why you're here, know the main purpose why you came to the UK. You should be able to develop that culture of starting to study early, develop the culture of don't leave things to the last minute. Start early, and it needs to be a culture that you enshrine in your day-to-day life, not just for one semester, not just for one term. You should develop that culture continuously. And he did emphasize that there's quite a lot of support. He mentioned about academic support. You can get cultural support as well. Support from different societies, student societies, religious societies, in this case, Christian religious society. There are lots of resources as well from the library, referencing or softwares that you can actually get free of charge from the university. There are also counseling and career counseling departments or teams that can help you with either planning your CV or getting yourself prepared for the future, or even getting a part-time job, really. And he talked about some of the key challenges that students face. One of them is plagiarism, burnout, stress, and panic attack, and of course the last-minute syndrome. Some of this we'll talk about in our discussion, our panel discussion. You have the opportunity to shed more light on these things again. And thank you very much. That was a great presentation. We're going to the next speaker, and I have the pleasure of welcoming Mrs. Grace Adegoke. She is a multidisciplinary healthcare expert, and she is also an entrepreneur. She has significant years of experience as a practice nurse initially, and then a midwife, and she's a nurse clinician, a nurse practitioner practicing at a GP practice. She is also a certified nutritionist and has also recently completed a master's degree in public health nutrition. She was inspired by her passion in food and health, and she, I think some years ago, founded a company called RNK Holistic Healthcare, and she also manages this company. So this company seeks to improve health and well-being in individuals and community, and she used this platform to provide consultancy services to several healthcare agencies in the UK. She's also very interested in health promotion and has been teaching and helping people adopt healthy lifestyles especially with respect to eating healthy. And I have the pleasure of welcoming her to share some of the experience as a mother of students, as an adult student as well, and then she'll probably give us some hint from how to manage our health and manage stress and maintain that social health and academic balance. Thank you. I have the pleasure of welcoming you. The stage is yours. We can't hear you. Yep.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be on this platform tonight and to also share with fellow students, because we are all students of life. You know, we keep learning each day. It's quite unique for some people who are just starting out, either as undergraduate, postgrad, and to so many levels of academic achievement. So I want to say congratulations, first and foremost, for making it that far. If you are in the audience listening to this speech, or this conference, so you might already be asking yourself some questions. How will I cope? Especially if you are 18, you're 19, if you're traveling from outside of UK to start your academic career or programs in this country, or you are single or married or a mature student, and you have so many responsibilities. So life isn't just straightforward for you. So you're thinking, how can I cope? How will I make my money go further? Or how do I get the most out of all I have? Will I make friends? And what is my future going to be like? So you're studying a degree, you don't know what you're going to do with it. Well, the good news is you just have that first degree first, or the second degree, and further doors will begin to open up for you because education do that. And how will I fit my family in, especially if you're a wife or a husband or a parent, a new parent especially, and will I be able to work in this country? Some people have come to uni, but part of the agenda is to work as well. And I don't blame you, because you got to pay your bills, you got to pay your tuition fee. And if you are a foreign student, it's not cheap. So first and foremost, the most important thing for me as a person who has constantly kept learning, either as a young girl, a single, a married, a wife, a mom, a friend, and all of that, is support system. So your number one thing, priority, is to find yourself some support. As the previous speaker said, you need some friends, somebody, and mentor. So you have to be intentional about this and look around you and see who can I buddy with or pally with, to understand each other, to do work together. I'm talking about academic work at this very moment, and people that you can sponge off, and vice versa. And of course, the mentoring is also very key. Perhaps people from your own year or a year above you who have been in your shoes before will be able to show you the way and how they've coped. And of course, somebody who is also doing the same degree that you're doing. And don't forget, we have the mentoring scheme within the OFNC. And as you know, this program is organized by the OFNC. So information is there for you from the organizers. Email mentoring@ofnc.org.uk for further support. And as part of your support system is what I call acculturation or cultural adaptation. And every professional needs to do this when they first arrive into this country. It's very, very important to know the people. And as the chairman said in his opening speech, when you're in Rome, you do like the Romans, not just ordinary Romans, the good Romans. But in this case, just be like the Romans, you are in UK, know the people, the culture, learn the culture, the slangs, and what people mean when they say something. If somebody say loo, they mean toilets. You know, that type of little slangs here and there, things that might be foreign to you if you're coming from a foreign country. Make conscious efforts to learn these things because they are very, very important. And another useful skill in this country is diplomacy. You know, us Nigerians, we like to call a spade a spade. I'm afraid you can't really do much of that. You need to be very clever, not to say lie or anything, but in other words, you cannot be confrontational and avoid it at all costs. It's very essential to get along. And each time you want to confront somebody, just pinch yourself and say, oh no, I'm not confronting, because you can easily be giving names that your voice is too loud or you're just attacking me. Meanwhile, it's just normal for you or within your own culture. So these are the very, very strategic foundations that you need to lay when you get to this country. There's so many other things that we can talk about getting used to the culture. So the next one is your food, your health, and your fitness. So the first on that list is to seek a GP or a good doctor that you can register with. Your student union might have information to this effect in the uni you're in, but most importantly, speak to other students and get their recommendations of a good doctor, somebody who is ready to fit you in, to see you when you need help. And also read the reviews online about a particular GP, what people have said. And also, an advice I want to give you is take preventative measures to be in good health. Don't joke with your health. You know, we're in 21st century. If it's not the pandemic, it's something else, especially within our ethnic minority community. So go for your checkups. Your doctor visits are very necessary when they come round. For ladies, things. For men, check yourself at home. We can't really go into much detail of these aspects. But the most important thing is in our ethnic community, you know that we've been in the news or in the limelight, especially in relation to COVID in the past year or so, how many people within our ethnic minority have been affected by COVID. And I think a lot of it is down to our gene, our DNA, and of course, the level of immunity that we have. And the main thing that has been pinned down in this cause and effect is vitamin D levels that they found that are very low in the Black ethnic minority people. The darker you are, the less you are able to absorb vitamin D. And if that is the case, are you getting your supplements? Vitamin D3 is the recommended kind that is absorbable readily for us. Everybody, it doesn't even matter if you're Black or brown or white. Everyone that lives in this UK, because we are in the region of the world where there is no sun around, you know, the earth, you know, the globe, as opposed to the tropical countries where they have so much sunshine. So more than half of the year, you don't have enough vitamin D. So please, I make it my life ambition. If I don't say anything else tonight, make sure you go and get your vitamin D supplement, 800 to 1,000 IU. If you ask your pharmacist over the counter, you don't need a doctor prescribing it to you. Just buy it and take one every day for everybody. And vitamin D is not just a vitamin, it's an hormone for your sex hormone, for your immunity. And there is so much record about vitamin D that the vitamin D cells, they are present in every cells of your body. So you really need your vitamin D to be in good health. It's like lock and key. The receptors are in every cells of your body. So if it's not important, nature will not make it so. So please, and if you've never done your vitamin D level, you can go and do it so you know if your level is down, if you're feeling tired or muscle aches and things like that. It could be because you're deficient in vitamin D or some other nutrients, micronutrients. If you want to know more, go and look at some YouTube videos that we've already done for the August conference, I think, on my YouTube channel. And also, let's talk about shopping and cooking. As I said initially, your aim is to get the most out of all you have. You probably have a small budget as a student, so you can't eat healthy without compromising at all. And it can be very cheap and quick as well. So healthy meals are very, very key. And don't forget your brain food, your oily fish, your omegas, your magnesium for your muscle functions, because if you're young, obviously, well, age is just a number. But if you're active, which you are expected to be as a uni student, you're going to be up and down like a yo-yo. You need your muscles to be functioning. So your magnesium is key, as well as your calcium, it's balanced diet. Again, I have more videos that you can fall back on to see more. So ideas of quick meals, stir fries, one pot rice dish, pasta and vegetable dishes, just aim to make balanced meals. Don't forget the vegetables are key. So some student meal video online that you can also fall back into. So other tips about your food is to buy in bulk, to freeze if you have space, and certain things are seasonal and very, very cheap, like red peppers are mainly used in African or Caribbean style of cooking, or ethnic minority cooking, or even tomatoes. They're very cheap at a certain time of the year. You can share a box with 2 or 3 other mates or friends. So cook them in batch. Instead of making one meal, why don't you make 4 and freeze the rest? So you have a ready meal when you're busy studying and you don't have time to cook. And of course, you can form a student cooperative, buy together, share together, things that you all use in common. So some finance tips that you can maybe emulate: income and spending. You got to draw up those lines. Where is your income going to be coming from, and how much are you getting? So you need to make a list of everything you will need, from weekly to monthly to quarterly and annual bills, and your essential and non-essential, and think of what you can, all the things that you can do without on your list. If you can do without it, then why put them on the list? So your utility, your food, your all important internet, your fast broadband, those are very, very important. Even more important now than ever. Most of your lectures might be delivered online, and of course you got to do your homework, your assignments, whether you're off campus or on campus, and you need the internet where you live especially. And of course you don't want a commotion while you're spending hours on a slow download when you have a deadline in your hands. Okay, so other things that we can consider is, if you are a foreign student and you are just coming into UK, there are certain bills that you might not be aware of, that maybe you don't pay where you're coming from. Council tax, don't forget. This is just reminding you to put everything on the list. And there are already some templates online, that your budgeting templates that you can use and add your specific ones to it. And the main thing is to budget and stick with your budget. And ask yourself this question: before you buy anything, ask, why am I buying this? If your answer is then don't. That means you don't need it. You don't find a reason. So for your accommodation, you can go and check rooms.co.uk, where you can find cheaper rent for spare rooms, starerooms.co.uk. Not your usual student accommodation, but you can share a room from people, like a lodger type of thing, and they might be cheaper than what you already know. And again, there are other links that already been provided. Go and check Martin Lewis's money saving expert tips, on how to save money and getting the most out of what you have. And the next thing is about stress management. My other speaker has already spoken about anxiety and depression and stuff, So what you need to do as an individual, what we all need to do as individuals is to look where we are in life. So where are you in life? Are you a single person, husband, or with 1.5 kids, and you have responsibility? So you are a mature student who have extra commitment and family responsibility, and you're studying and pursuing academic excellence. They can be achieved or achievable, and you can really do well, just that you need to work harder than people who don't have extra responsibilities. So maximizing your 24/7, the same number of hours given to everybody, you just have more to do. And don't forget, family is everything. If you're a student and you have family, I mean your own immediate nuclear family, I don't mean your parents, your kids, your spouse. Don't forget them, and don't forget that these kids or your kid only know you as daddy or mommy, not as a postdoc or a postgrad. That's just an extra thing that you are trying to do, and you're not on holiday from your actual life. So please put them first all the time and zoom in and focus when deadlines are on the line. So, and now maintaining work-life balance, as it has been said. Part of your question is, are you able to work in this country? Don't forget, you're only allowed 20 hours of work in some time. That's a law in this country. If you break it, you'll be in breach of your visa conditions. So make yourself smart goals. Make sure your goals are achievable. Don't get lost in everything else, what other people are doing, partying and doing stuff. Be smart with how you maximize your time. And again, as I said, don't break the law, and at the same time, for your own sanity as well, don't bite more than you can chew, and don't stress yourself, because we've now got so much more mental health issues, especially with the COVID situation that we all have in our hands. You don't want to, add more stress. If you are a mature student, I mean, you have family of your own to look after, delegate house tasks. If, you have deadlines, use the laundress, take some clothes to the laundry, let them launder them for you so you have extra time. You probably pay £10 for, a full basket. Use a cleaner in your home once a month, to get the most of the cleaning job out of the way, and you don't have to worry about that. So be sensible, and again, stick to your budget. If you don't go and get it. If you don't need a car, for instance, so live close by to uni so you can be within the walking distance. Ideally, you're getting fit without knowing it, without thinking about it, because you're walking to and fro uni, and you're saving on transportation as well. And making friends, you will soon find out that you will gravitate, or some people will gravitate towards you, like-minded people. Give yourself about a week or two to settle in your course, and you see people who gravitate towards you. And of course, you need friends to keep your sanity, to do other things, to get into speed, to fill the gap. If you miss something from a lecturer, your friend will always tell you, so please don't be on your own. And of course, you have to be selective who your friends are. And again, the COVID pandemic has really taken its toll on people, as we said. So you need coping strategies, especially if this is your first time of coming into one independent living as a teenager in your early 20s, or even with families traveling from abroad and things like that. So your mental health is the main thing here. And as I said, we've had so many mental health issues since COVID started in clinical practice. So how are you going to be coping? Eat well, as has been mentioned. Don't compromise your nutrients, vitamin C, vitamin D, omega-3. Those are very essential for your immunities. And of course, whatever else you think you're not getting from your food intake. And exercise is also key. And seek help. Please don't isolate yourself. And these are all strategies to cope within the COVID um, situation that we're in. And of course, learn a new skill. If you had always wanted to play guitar, pick it up as extracurricular, learn a skill online, volunteer within a community, which can also help to build your CV as well. And have a good laugh. Laughter, as they say, is the best medicine. And there are so many resources available online, free and cheap ways to keep fit and stay entertained. Just put that in Google, it will bring up so much to you. So in summary, get the most out of what you have. Use your support network. Don't isolate yourself. And we're all here to support you. So you can find me as Grace Ronke Adegoke on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Mrs. Adegoke. That was really brilliant. So much to unpack. I'm just going to recap very briefly on what she has said. Of course, I can't exhaust everything she has said, so it will be just a very short recap. She started by emphasizing on the need of finding a right support system. That will go a long way in helping you to balance, especially when you encounter stress. That support system will be a pillar for you in your academic journey as well. She did mention about mentoring, and she also mentioned that we have a mentoring scheme at the OFNC. And if you're interested in the mentoring scheme, you can contact us. We'll send an email. We'll send the contact details through our chat box when we're giving out announcements. The information, so the contact information will be made available as well. She talked about cultural adaptation and the need to find to live healthy and to find fitness. These are very key to academic excellence as well. So if you're healthy and if you're fit, you have the energy, you have the mental balance to study well, and that could contribute to being successful academically as well. She did mention about work-life balance, and I think this is something that we'll pick on and discuss more during our discussion. And she talked about the different support of the coping mechanism for mature students, especially those with a family in the UK, and how they can go about studying as well as being able to support their family as well. She importantly mentioned that if you encounter any trouble, just seek for help. Don't die in silence. Don't suffer in silence. Speak to someone. Speak to your team in the university. Speak to and your support system. That goes back to the emphasis on finding the right support system. And she, of course, mentioned that if you live right, you open yourself out there, people will gravitate towards you, so you will make friends, and people will come to you. So this really a lot to unpack, and I hope we'll be able to touch on some of these points during our discussion. At this point, I would like to break for a minute, a couple of minutes actually, to give the speaker a time maybe to have a sip of water or grab a cup of tea if they want. And then we'll come back and have just general discussion. And if you have any question that you want one of the speakers to address, if you please can put those questions to the general chat box, we'll be able to retrieve it there, and I'll read out your questions to the speaker and we'll do justice to it. Yeah, so we're going to have 2 minutes break, and then we'll come back after 2 minutes. Right. So I'd like to welcome you back to the next section. And again, thank you for our speakers for agreeing to participate in this section. And I just want to welcome you again to this section. Can I just confirm that Dr. Daramola and Mrs. Adegoke are here? And if you can please unmute yourself so that we can start the discussions, please.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Great. So we're just going to start in a light mood, really. And I'd like to start talking about your first experience, personal experience when you first arrived in the UK. For me, it was very funny when I went to a coffee shop and I asked for coffee, and I didn't know about the different coffees they had. And so they brought a small cup of coffee, and and I was to pay about £3 for that small cup of coffee. And I had that coffee and I was waiting for a bigger cup to come. So that was the first experience. And it was then I had to go and check the different type of coffee, what I need to ask and what is the right coffee to ask when I'm asking for a coffee next time. So I'd like you to share your different experience in your first, maybe 1 week, 1 month, first day in the UK. What was the most memorable experience you had? It could be a fun experience. If you don't mind sharing with us. I'd like to start with Mrs. Adobuke, please.
So thank you. You know, your story just reminded me of my experience, really, because I had similar experience. Not so much about the coffee. I arrived into this country on a Friday, and I immediately started working within the NHS on a Monday. So I didn't even have any time to prepare or to learn anything, to do whatever. But I trained in an American mission hospital from Nigeria. So I'm used to having non-Nigerian, white Caucasian, English speaking doctors and nurses around me. That's a great help. Of course, as Brother Deco was saying, American accent is different to UK, but UK is easier for me. I don't understand American accent. So, but one of the things I have to learn is to quickly distinguish between an American accent that I brought with me that I knew very well and translate it into British accent, within a health establishment where you have to get everything right. There is no space for error. So that's one challenge. The other challenge is about drinks. I came into the country in April, and we're getting into the warmer months of the year. And where I used to work, everybody is having tea and coffee, like 10 cups of tea or coffee within a shift of 8 hours. So each time they ask me, "Oh, Grace, would you like a drink?" I'll say no. Like, I mean, I never drink tea and coffee in the daytime. Afternoon, when it's hot in my country, all you drink is cold water, and some people will drink soft drink, but I never drink soft drink like that. So you drink water. So I kept saying no, not knowing that that's very antisocial to say no to cups of tea that is offered you in a place of work. Or as part of a team, you got to say yes. So by the time somebody was taking offense, this set of people making tea and coffee all the time, because that's part of their job. So I would say no. And then she said, "Oh, Grace doesn't like my tea, or she doesn't like my coffee. She's always saying no." And they never told me, they were just saying it, while I wasn't there. So it became an issue until I got to know that this is what is happening. So I had to, I'm very sorry, I'm not antisocial, the opposite. So when you are drinking tea and coffee, just give me a glass of water, whether it's cold or hot or warm or whatever, just give me a glass of water. So I then realized that even English people, and this is the key thing, English people also will say yes to the cup of tea, but not because they want to drink it. Everyone is sitting down in the break room or whatever. They've got the cup of tea and they're chatting away within the 10-minute break, and they're like that. Some people, as soon as everybody is finished, they get up, they pour it into the sink, in the presence of the others. So just say yes and pour it away. So I learned that by the hard way.
That points back to learning the etiquette, getting to know about the culture as you live in the UK, being open and learning about the culture. Behave as a Roman if you're in Rome, right? I want to hear from you, Dr. Dikpo. You seem to be smiling. I reckon it's going to be a funny one.
Yeah, I can relate with that. With being polite, and one thing the British like is if you disagree with them, you still need to be polite about it. I think my own experience is very different from yours. So I'll try and focus on my experience when I first came. I think when I arrived in the UK, I arrived about just like Sister Grace said, I arrived in April as well. So in the spring, early April, it was very cold. I came in with a shirt and nobody told me to come in with a jacket. I came out of Heathrow thinking, wow, this is cold. And as soon as I was picked up in Heathrow, went straight to Canterbury College, to Stafford House College then. And I immediately met my roommate who was Chinese. And we immediately got on. The first time I met him, we started chatting, and he'd been in the college for more than a year. So he knew a lot about the college, and he told me, there are a lot of Nigerian students in that college. It's quite diverse. And, spending the night with him and getting that information, just even though, when my uncle was driving me from Heathrow to Canterbury, it felt as if, part of me was was very scared that, what is this land going to bring me? And just chatting away with him that night, gave me that calmness and confidence that, he told me the Nigerians are very nice in the college. I was going to have fun. And now, in retrospect, it was fun in college. So I would say my first few weeks or my first few days here in the UK was good experience.
That's lovely to hear. That's actually lovely to hear. Yeah. Right, we're just going to go straight to the section of talking about academic excellence and trying to assess the necessary support that you have to excel. Of course, one of the key priority or one of the key aims of coming to the UK is probably to finish with the first. Most students would like to finish the first in the UK, and seeing what are the necessary qualities, what are the necessary practices, actions, or things you need to do to be able to come out with the first. And I think in that light, I'm going to be looking at the questions that Fapo Honda, I don't know if I pronounced your name correctly. So we'll be talking about that question. She's studying for a master's, and of course, if you're studying for a master, the UK master is just a year, and it can be very overwhelming. You have a lot of coursework, as well as a lot of what we call assignments, maybe essays or stuff like that. How did you manage to, how did you get through the deadlines, and how did you manage to get a quality work within this deadline? Let's start with Dr. Daramola.
My advice on this would be start early. The best approach is obviously as soon as you get the assignment, you know what exactly it is to do. You need to do. Start very early. As soon as you know what those questions are, go straight into putting in the content. Essentially going straight to answering those questions. Then later on, you can focus on the structure, on the grammar. So basically, what starting early helps you do is it helps you, basically get your thoughts out. It allows you to put everything, structure put your thoughts into the writing first, and then it gives you a lot of time to then improve on that, what you've written. Whereas if you start too late, because you're in a rush, what you're trying to do is you're trying to do all that different stages at the same time. So you're likely to miss out on the content, or the structure is likely to be bad. So again, as soon as you get the questions, start early so that you can always improve on it. I think second thing is, try also to find to look for a network or a group of a friend or someone who is sort of above you. If you're doing a master's, see if you can get a PhD student, someone who's ahead of you, or someone who just completed a master's, to have a look at your work. Someone who can proofread, someone who can review. Again, you can get your insight on these things, and they can be able to provide you some insight and tell you that this is where you need to improve on. Sometimes, getting another pair of eyes, to look at your work sometimes really, really help. Those are my main, my two things I'll say is, start very early. Don't leave it until late. And especially if you're going to ask someone to review your work, you want to get it done early, so that, because you don't know what that person's schedule is like. So again, if you're looking for a PhD student to help you review your work, that person might be busy for over a period of a week. So you want to give them plenty of time to review your work. So you want to get it done early as well, and send it to someone that can help you review. Look for someone that can, help you proofread and review.
That's really important. I think I can relate with the question, really, because I think we spend a lot of time, first of all, trying to understand what we need to do, what is the expectation. And if I understand correctly, most universities, if they are asking you to write an essay, they will normally give you a guideline of what they're expecting, what makes a good essay, what And if you go through that guideline, and also speak with maybe PhD students as well, who has written a lot of essays and stuff like that. And I'm just going to go to Ms. Degoke, who has recently completed a master. If you want to, how did you manage so much workload in the master's program, and how did you get through the deadline? And are you still here? Can you hear me?
I think she's
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
So one of the things that, yeah, I can hear you. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Go can on, you hear me now?
I can hear you. Go on, man.
Okay. So yeah, that master's actually was 2012, you know. So yeah, just to say, one of the things that has helped me in consistently keeping up with studying and meeting deadlines is getting ahead of the game. That is the main thing. You have your whole year or sessions, syllabus or topics you have to cover. I would normally, on my lunch break or when I don't have a lecture, I'll go in the library and read up on what we are studying next week. And I can either formulate my own questions or see past questions and begin to dig into them. That's number one. Get ahead of the game. And again, this is the digital age. Please don't your essays, your assignments with pen and paper in the page of the book. Use a small iPad or laptop or even smartphone. All of them have notes. When I go into the library, I have like an archive. If I study something new, I put it there and I reference it. So you already know what referencing system that is required of you for that particular university. So you reference as you go along, you put your point down, don't waste any point, even if you don't need it now, because it's still within the course content, you might need it for another assignment. So I create archives, and I make sure if I pause on my laptop, I save it. So save as you go, because you might lose your work and then you have to start all over again. Or if you handwrite it, you're going to have to type it up again. So why don't you just write it digitally and save it as you go along? In fact, I'm so obsessed with saving and never losing to God's glory. And I think you've got to be smart, with this. Don't say, oh, I will save it or whatever. You have your, in those days, we call it something else, USB on your lanyard or at the end of your key, because wherever you are, you got your key. So you slot it in as soon as you sit behind the computer, you slot it in and you take it out like you switch off your car engine before you get out the car. You take it and you put it in your pocket. So wherever you are, there is a USB saving device in your bag. So you are not without somewhere to save your work. So, and again, just focus. Even when your friends are saying, oh, I'm having a party tonight, you got deadlines. That's your priority, because there's going to be time for the party or whatever else you want to do after you pass that course.
Great, thank you very much. Just to add to what they have excellently articulated, I would like to advise the person asking the question, if you have a mentor, I'm sure you must have been assigned a mentor. If you can speak with the mentor will be able to offer help on how you can go about things. And the second thing I'd like to mention is, sometimes it can be very overwhelming. The secret is just start doing something. Just pick one of them and start doing. And there's also the temptation of skipping lectures just to be able to focus on your assignment. And I think that's not going to help. If you can find a time where you attend your lectures, I don't know how much lectures you have in a week, attend your lectures, but try to see if you can in between have a siesta, and then in the evenings you can devote it to your assignments. That critical time of rest gives you enough energy to work on in the evenings. And I think that helped me a lot. I try to find time within the afternoon. If if there's any break, to just have maybe 1 hour siesta or 1 hour sleep. And then I'll be alert enough after maybe my afternoon lectures to work on my coursework. And another thing which the speaker have emphasized is speak to people, speak to your team, discuss it, try to understand the question, and read the guidelines that have been put to you. They will usually give you a guideline. So read and try to understand the guideline. And I'd just like to emphasize, because the mode of assessment in this country is a bit different, which sometimes will involve essay writing, it does take a time to get used to writing essay. As you get used to, it's an art, right? Writing is an art. So as you continue to practice and write and write and write, and of course, you're going to get lots of those. You become very efficient in writing, and eventually you'll become efficient and you'll be able to manage your time. So don't be discouraged. Start doing something. And in that light, I'm just going to go into more discussing about essays. And probably, Dipo, will you be able to share any experience? I don't know if your course, your master's degree, or your undergraduate, or of course, your PhD will involve writing, but your master's and your undergraduate, did they involve a lot of essays writing? How did you become good at writing essays? What are the things you did? What support did you seek for? And how were you supported in developing that key essential skill of writing?
Yeah, I think for me, again, I'll try not to try and I'll try and focus this on me, on my own experience rather, because I think essay write.
Can I just interrupt you very quickly?
Yeah.
If you could also talk briefly about plagiarism and how you can avoid this.
Okay. So first, with your first question, so essay writing coursework would depend highly on whatever course you're studying, your uni, and your level of study. So if you're doing a master's, I think for me personally, again, this is from my personal experience. At undergraduate, I wrote a lot of essay. At master's level, it was more exams. So a lot of my modules were more exams rather than coursework. With essay writing, if you've got to write a lot of essays, I remember my first year, second year, sort of my first year, my essay writing was very poor. So when I get a question, first I talk about a lot of irrelevant things, and oftentimes when you get those questions, you get a word limit. So they say, answer this in 1,500 words or 2,000 words. It already limits, how much you can get, because to answer those questions properly, sometimes you need a lot of words. So you really need to sometimes go straight to the point. I didn't learn this until sort of later in my second year. I knew this German guy that was always getting, 80s and above in his coursework. And I asked him to send me, 2 copies of his coursework just to see how he writes. And, both essays, from the introduction, he goes to say, he says something like, this essay is going to do X, Y, and Z. So straight to the point, very succinct. Don't go around saying, what happened in 1960, 1970, going through the history. It wouldn't get you great. Whatever you've been asked, go straight to answer these questions because you have a word limit. So that was my starting point, reading through his essays, but also reading academic papers, particularly during my master's and PhD, where if they've been published in a peer-reviewed journal, it means, it's gone through reviewers, gone through editors. So people have actually looked at it. It's a quality paper. So read through those journal articles. Try and see how people write. What I tend to do again is, when it comes to that, I look through articles, particularly from my lecturers. I start off with my master's lecturers, see what they've published, and I pick 1 or 2 writing styles that I like. I see somebody that I'm able to, understand exactly what it is they're saying. Then I just follow the same structure in my writing. you can't get it wrong if it's a published article, essentially. 3-star published papers, in a 3-star or 4-star journal. You can't get it wrong. Just try and read papers, see the way they flow in those papers, and try and compare what you've written again to those papers. In terms of plagiarism, the best way to avoid it is just even when you're tempted to write exactly what someone has written, just try and paraphrase it. Phrase it differently. Put that person's put the reference correctly in your paper, and you're allowed to include quotes. Just quote them properly, and then reference them properly. But again, try totally to avoid copying and pasting. You're allowed to think. You're allowed to bring your ideas into these essays. I'm not saying you should go off rail and start writing a totally, something absurd and bringing it into your essays. You need it to be thoughtful. There needs to be rigor in your essays, right? In your essay writing. So you really don't need to be copying and pasting somebody's work. You're allowed to bring your own flavor into it. So again, just avoid plagiarism altogether. Try and read through those papers, paraphrase papers, paraphrase whatever someone else said, reference properly, and that way you're never going to be in that plagiarism bracket. You can avoid it totally. It's easy to avoid. I think plagiarism simply means you're just copying someone's word and pasting it without referencing it. So it's really easy to avoid by not doing it, essentially.
And I just like to stress again, reading academic papers. If you read those papers, try to see not just the information or the discovery. Try to learn the art of writing, see how they write the papers, and that will really go a long way. Eventually you also develop your own style of writing. But you need to learn from others before you develop your own original style of writing. Of course, even if you're learning from others, does not mean you have to copy them verbatim. Just like Deepa said, paraphrase anything you could. And on that note, I'm just going to go to Mrs. Adegoke. And I mean, of course, from this discussion, you can understand why people can be really overwhelmed with loads of coursework, loads of assignments to do. And if you allow this work to get to you, you can experience tremendous stress, burnout in some instances. That can affect your way of life, your sleeping habits and stuff like that. From just this stress, you can eventually possibly develop mental health issues. How do you maintain the balance so that you don't get overwhelmed with the pressure from the coursework? How do you develop healthy sleeping habit in the face of the plenty workload that you have? How do you, if you experience stress, where do you get help and how do you access help?
So again, going back to establishing your SMART goals and focusing on those. And by focusing, you are eliminating other distractions, so you don't get to a stage when you are overwhelmed. However, we are all different. Some people are easily distracted. Some people, their attention span is very short, so they just have to be overwhelmed because they've left things to the last minute, or they are biting more than they can chew. So the first thing to look at is, am I actually doing too much? So look at the areas where you think you're doing too much and just take them off. Take the layer off and leave those things that are very specific. Why you're here, are you operating in the season you're in? So that's the main thing that you need to focus on. So for your mental health, you've got your doctors there. There are so many helplines in this country, anxiety helpline, talking together. There is CBT, cognitive behavior therapy online. because talking is also a therapy, is a form of treatment for mental health issues. And also other activities that tend to shift your focus from what is making you feel overwhelmed. And if you need to take some time off, from study, so be it, because you're not on a holiday from your actual life. This is your life. It's all part of your life. So whatever you're doing now is going to culminate into your future. If care is not taken, if you develop chronic mental health issues, you probably won't finish that degree anyway, or you might not even be productive as an adult. So why don't you just take it in your own pace? Because everyone has got to go in their own pace, and again, the main thing are strategies. Use your support network. Find families, even if you don't know them from before. When I was studying one of my degrees, there are 3 Pakistani students in my class. I'm a practitioner already, a clinician. The head of department was my age group, my best friend. So she uses me as a reference in the class. And these 3 people, English isn't their national language where they were coming from. In fact, one of them came late to start because she was coming directly from Pakistan. So they can't even hear what the lecturer is saying, and paying tuition fee as a foreign student, and you're not even hearing the lecturer right. So how are you going to do any essay or even pass anything? So these are my buddies. We sit down together, lunchtime, if it gets to a point that even one of your classmates can even be your mentor, why not? If they can help you and they're ready to help you, because you're on the same course, they understand the same question that you're supposed to answer, and they can help you. And there are resources within your student union as well for your mental health, counseling, I should think so, available. And a prototype of assignments that they're already on the shelves in the library. Go and pull them as if somebody else has answered that question or similar question. So you pick and choose what style you like, as you said, or at that level of study as a master's, you synthesize, you read A, B, and C, and you say, this is my thought. So it's really not supposed to be difficult. But you have to love studying. You have to understand the style, to study at that level, and then just take things in your stride. And please don't forget, fitness is also very key for your mental health. When you do exercise, happy hormone, into your system, you have a laugh, you socialize, you have fresh air on your face, you feel like you're doing something, you're having a me time for yourself, apart from what is stressing you. So it distracts you, it takes your mind off what is that thing. But again, you zoom back in, your focus. If you have to pull an all-nighter to write 3,000 out of that 4,000, you've done, brilliantly, as long as you have all the resources you have where you are, your online library, your academic papers and stuff within your reach. So use that first week that they take you the libraries and show you how to use the online resources. Otherwise, you will be stuck if you don't know how that system works. And you're in your flats and you don't know where to go, how to even approach the essay. So time is going little by little and you are getting stressed. So if you can avoid the stress, please do avoid it.
Yeah, that's really great. And just to also highlight again the fitness bit, most universities will have sport facilities and clubs and stuff like that. So you just find what opportunities there you can learn and do new sport really. You can join one of the teams, and normally they will have classes for you to learn new sport if you want to. And most universities will, and just take advantage of these facilities. If you're tired, just take out time and go and play, right? Because sometimes if you're tired and you just stop trying to write or trying to do something, you spend like maybe several hours without achieving anything. So why not use that time to go and just get some fresh air, play with other people, get an exercise, and you come back with a very refreshed mind that can help you to be able to achieve that. In that context, and this to wrap up this section really, As much as university is an academic journey, it is also a social journey. You need to make friends, you need to mingle, you need to network. I'll go with Dipo. Can I take your views? How did you find friends? How did you network? What are the roles of societies in a student life? How do you socialize as a student?
So I think the first starting point making friends for when you just arrive would usually be people you live with, so housemates, and classmates. That would often be the people you're in contact with for the first few weeks. After which, then you can join different student union societies, Nigerian society, Afro-Caribbean societies. You can make friends. That's the way to make friends outside, your sort of environment, which is your home and in your classroom. So that is where I started making friends from. Again, from my housemates and from my classmates. And again, my friendship expanded once I was beginning to engage in those sort of different societies within the uni, engaging in different religious groups. You'll meet people, but also not just attending those not just going to those societies. You go to societies and try and mingle. Essentially, go with the purpose of trying to meet people. Don't just stand in your shell and basically stand in a place and reject people. Walk up to people, say hi, talk to them how they're doing, talk to people, engage people, and you'll be surprised how nice people can be. So yeah, that's the first place that's, as a student, I think that's the way to make friends. But given the sort of the social distancing rules that we have currently, I think your best route might be joining societies online, and also engaging in like this sort of conference. Network, meet people, ask questions, collect their emails, collect their contacts. This are ways that you can sort of make friends and network, and after the pandemic, you can start again meeting people again, in the normal way. So I think this is sort of, you have to learn how to make friends virtually now, and eventually as we move on, then you can start making friends, in the sort of maybe new normal that we're going to get after the pandemic. So yeah, that's my advice. Talk to your housemates, talk to your classmates, join societies. Those are places where you meet people and talk to people as well, engage people.
Thank you very much. We're running out of time. I'm just going to take a last opinion of you from Mrs. Adabuke, and it's about actually managing your finances, being frugal. Of course, you're coming with limited resources already, so you need to be able to manage your money and know how to save and manage your money so that you don't rush short. Where, as a student, where should I shop? Where are the cheap shops? And what are the right food to buy, and what's the quick food to prepare, that sort of thing. How do I manage save money in buying the right things? What are the right shops to go to as a student?
Okay. So there's a lot of competition in the UK market, the supermarket generally. Obviously, some of them are deemed to be for the middle class, the high class, or different classes. So I know people who are very mindful of how much their bills are. They go to Aldi, they go to, what's the other one of Aldi, in that category. And again, what you need to look at with specific supermarket or shops, let me say shops, not just supermarket, because there are ethnic minority shops like cash and carry, where you can actually buy things cheaply than some supermarket. Like, say you use a can of chopped tomatoes, you can, instead of buying one for 30 something pence in the supermarket, you can buy a pack of 12 for £1 something, you know. So that's one way. Another way is, even if your supermarket, let's say Tesco or Sainsbury, you go online and you look at their offers. You know, there are offers, you know, on, let's say, on a Friday night or midnight in Asda, you know, so you go there last minute, 12 midnight, you know, whenever, when they are supposed to have offers on. So watch out for the offers. And this money saving experts.com that I sent, you know, through the organizers, go there, everything from your Nando's to your transport to your Wi-Fi to your shopping to getting some money off your broadband because they charge you too much. So this guy knows how to go around certain loopholes and get you some money back. You know, so that is one major place that you can go and look for bargains. And of course, again, I've got some playlists on my YouTube of your staples, things that you need to stock up on, that you don't necessarily need to spend a lot of money on a weekly basis. You can just top up with your baked beans, your vegetables. You can freeze some and cook some. Buy a loaf of bread and put it straight in the freezer and just take 2 slices out when you need it. You know, so many little tips like that that you can fall back on. So I'm very mindful of the time that we have. I hope that helps.
You maybe 30 seconds to give a short concluding remark. Anything you would just want to highlight, just 30 seconds each, please.
Okay.
Can I start with Mrs. Adogweke, please?
I was going to say before about making friends, 3 areas. One of the first areas is that even people that you don't necessarily gravitate to in your course, as a group, they might group you together to do a coursework together or do a presentation in a group of 5 or 3. So those are potentially friends material, you know. So you just need to be nice and make friends. And after your study group together, just say, oh, would you like a coffee? Let's go down to the canteen. You begin to make friends. And you can make an impact in their lives as well. So that's one. Another one is, wherever I go, I belong in a class or whatever, I'll say, anybody from the Wirral would like a car share? That's a potential friends, you know. Or, you know, do you have kids that are 8-year-olds or 10-year-olds? You know, you find people who have specific certain interests that are common that you share. You know, maybe they love cooking. You can say, oh, can we have a cooking session together and we share it and take some ready meals home, you know. So you can make friends like that. Sometimes you might have to be the first one to branch out if nobody is, you know, naturally coming towards you. And above all, enjoy your time in uni, whether you're undergrad, postgrad, and also whatever level of academics you want to do. Sky is your limit. You are the only one that can stop you, you know. So please enjoy the time you're in and don't stress about anything. There is enough stress, you know, in the world where we live. And I pray and I hope that you will achieve your goals at the end of your years.
Thank you very much. Dr. Daramula, please.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think we've said a lot about you studying, focusing, and, you know, paying attention to different things. Also remember to relax. Remember to sometimes take a break. If you're doing your masters, it can be very overwhelming. Even undergrads, try and take breaks. You know, travel, meet people, join societies. You know, those little breaks keeps you refreshed. And as Sister Grace mentioned, helps with your mental health. So ensure that, you know, you create a good work-life balance. You're not overworking yourself. You know, you're working hard, but at the same time, you have, you know, places you can go and how you can take breaks. Little breaks here and there are very helpful.
I just want to thank you both for a very stimulating discussion, and I hope that this, whatever experiences you've shared today, it will go a long way in helping someone to be successful in the UK, to come out with a first. And we wish all the students who have attended today and all the students who will probably watch this video, I wish you a successful journey. I've shared some links on the chat box. If you need to get in touch, we've got contact details there. And if you also need to contact any of the speakers, especially with Mrs. Adegoke, she's got her social media handles there, so you can follow her and see some of the lovely videos she has done about eating healthy, living healthy. And if you want more information about our events, you can complete a feedback form, which has a link has just been posted, and you can leave your email address if you want us to get in touch and send you a video of this talk or presentations that the speakers presented. They're happy to share with us. So if you want the presentation, you can leave your email in the feedback as well. And please feel free to get in touch with OFNC or get to know more about OFNC by contacting the info@ofnc.org. info@ofnc.org. You'll find it in the chat box, or you can contact Ifeolu at akintoday@ofnc.org.uk. Can I just check if Uchechi is here? No. Okay, that's fine. So this is the end of our program, and I just want to thank you again for your time and really lovely discussions, and thank you for attending. And we'll keep in touch with regards to the next event. I'd just like to close this by a word of prayer. Can we pray? Our Lord and our Savior, we thank you for this opportunity. We thank you for this lovely speakers and the resources, the strength and the energy, the time that they have expended to bring this, share their experiences with us. And I pray that this valuable information that they've shared with us will impact on someone's life, will change one's story, will make someone successful. And I pray for the students as well, as they continue to study, as they aim to get the best out of their study. We pray that you will help them, your grace will be available to them, and give them the wisdom to be able to manage their time well, to be able to manage the resources and explore the resources that are available within the university and outside the university, that they will have lovely experience studying in the UK, and whatever brought them to the UK, their aims and aspirations and their goals will be accomplished in Jesus' name. Thank you, Jesus, and thank you. We pray for the blessings of God to everyone. I will pray that you continue to bless the speakers as well, and you repay them in multi-folds for their time and their resources. Thank you because you have answered us. For in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah. Thank you for joining.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Godwin. That's fantastic. Thank you, Brother Diko.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sister Grace. Really, really wonderful. Thank you so much. No one can thank you enough for the time you put into the thoughts and getting it organized and delivering so clearly. But I'm sure it's going to make a difference in the lives of those who listened.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.